Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Give us just 1 second here to make sure we are live where we are supposed to be live, and then we'll get started. I am Katie Castillo, the community expert at the Military MLS, and welcome to today's live stream event. Before we get started, I wanted to mention a few housekeeping things for you. And if you're joining us from Facebook, hello. Make sure you go to chat.restream.io/Facebook or /FB, excuse me, chat.restream.io/FB and click allow restream to show my name. That'll allow us to see what you're commenting or sharing in the Facebook chats over on Restream for us. And I also put that for you on that QR code right there, and you'll also see it down here. That is the one to go to. And so we'd love for you guys to be involved into this evening's conversation. So feel free to drop any thoughts or questions that you have as we go along. We'll try to answer some of those questions today, but anything we don't get to today in today's live stream, we'll answer on Tuesday at VA Loan Boot Camp. So make sure you RSVP and attend on Tuesday, June 24th at 2 p.m. And without further ado, let me introduce Kimber Hill, CEO of the Military MLS.
Hi. Hello, everybody. It's Kimber. So happy Thursday night. I know that a ton of our community members are probably having a little bit of military leave this week. So I'm excited that you're getting some nice time with your family, hopefully. All right. So as Katie said, you can absolutely join the chat. And sorry, I'm mirrored tonight. As we live stream, things are just a little bit different. So this is the QR code that you can select. I'm having I feel like a meteorologist right now. This is the QR code that you can select if you are watching on Facebook and you want to join the chat. And I want you to join the chat because this is meant to be interactive. But hey, we are doing a fast run through tonight. So let me give you kind of my hot open, my spiel of what I want to talk about. And to be honest, for a really long time, I had no idea how powerful the VA loan was, what it could do for our family, not only for making us comfortable and more stable at our duty station during our PCS, but also for creating long-term options and long-term financial stability for my family. And you guys know me as the person who brought you VertForce and remote employment for military spouses. And I know I am not the only person who wishes to have multiple income streams, who wishes to have multiple investments and a strong portfolio. So I also know I'm not the only person who wishes they'd learned the true value of this benefit sooner. And that is exactly what it is. Here's the truth. If you or your spouse has served, your family has earned this benefit. But most of us are never taught actually how to use it, at least not in a way that makes sense for your situation, your goal, or your timeline. And that's why we're here tonight. We're doing a live stream tonight. We're doing a coffee and connect next week. And the purpose of both of these events is to kind of rapid fire this evening to share what I wish I had learned sooner, what my guests wish they had learned sooner, because I want to give you the head start that I didn't have. I want to give you the head start that we all wish that we had. All right, who's excited? If you are pumped up about what we're going to talk about tonight and the guests that we have with us, give me a star emoji in the chat. Also, in the chat, tell me where you are watching from. Give me your duty station. And I would also love to know, when is your next PCS? Are you PCSing in 6 months, in 2 years? Are you retired and looking for your forever home? Tell me what's going on in your life. I will bring your answers up on screen. And I'm super glad you're here. The Military MLS is our sister community to VertForce. So if you are a VertForce member and that is where you learned about us and our community, our new community is our sister organization, the Military MLS. Our group is actually called Military to Military Property Club. So you can search up the Military to Military Property Club and actually join our group if you're interested in learning more things about what we're talking about tonight. But the point is, the bottom line, just like VertForce was built for military spouses by military spouses, the military MLS is a community built by military families for military families. And the point is, we're going to cut through the noise, cut through all the crap, and help you hear and get clear on what your property strategy and VA loan strategy will be. So, whether you've never purchased a home before, you've only thought about it, or maybe you're on your third PCS and you've purchased multiple properties at every PCS, we're the team to help you map it out. So what's the point? It's to give you strategy. It's to meet with you privately to have a conversation about what will work for you. So there's no more sifting through random advice, no more wondering if whoever you're working with, like your lender or your agent, really gets the military lifestyle. It's just real conversations, real guidance, real experts, and real stories, and us getting to the point really fast. So I do want to thank my guest tonight, and I'm about to bring her on. So before I do that, let me tell you just a tad about them. So a big thanks to her. She's from NewRez, and they've teamed up with us, and they're sharing their expertise on the VA loan. The VA loan is a complex benefit. It's a benefit, but just like anything the military does for us, it's highly complex. Can I get a what in the chat? If you agree with me that everything the military does for us is highly complex, the VA loan is no different. So I'm very excited that we have a VA loan expert who's going to join me and talk about what I wish I knew sooner. We are about to bust some major myths in this call. So let me introduce and bump on screen Miss Michelle Crumley. She is a fellow military spouse, and she's the director of VA education and policy at NewRez. So this is the expert. I'm telling you, she's the perfect person for the conversation. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, hello. So great to be with you guys this evening. We're going to have some fun.
Good to see you. And while we're just getting started, let's see who all we've got with us in the chat. All right, so we've got Min. She's saying hello. Francis says hello. We've got Winged Wildcat says hello. We've got Dave from Tampa, Florida. Good to see you. Oh, I see Chiquita. Hello, good to see you again, Chiquita in Virginia. We've got Lila. Hey. Oh, Laya. Ooh, what a beautiful name. So excited. Good to see you. Hello, Min. Hey, Francis. Who else have we got here? You guys throw your location in the chat. Give me your duty station in the chat and tell me when your next PCS is. Tiffany from Richmond, Georgia. Good to see you. Fort Polk. Hello from Fort Polk. Hello from Hawaii. Hey, Julie. Good to see you. Arkansas, PCSing in August to Tinker in Oklahoma. My sister was in the Army. She spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. Are you excited about going to Oklahoma? Do you like hot weather? Oklahoma is a great place to invest too. Veteran, homeowner. Thank you, Tiffany. Chelsea, Las Vegas to DC. Hey, girl. Good to see you again. We talked a few days ago. All right. And Fort Drum, we've got a lot of people in the chat here. Fort Drum in 3 months. Nice. Good to see you. Fort Lewis in 20 months. Good to see you. Thank you for your service. So true. Yeah. Facts. All right, Michelle, you ready to get started? Let's bust
Absolutely.
some myths.
Let's bust these myths.
Okay. Awesome. All right. 1 second. We've got D1 says they have their first PCS to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, living in Clarksville, Tennessee, 9 months in. Your first PCS is a great time to make a decision like this. Leah says, from Tennessee, so I'm used to hot, but I don't like it as much, LOL. I wasn't excited at first, but after visiting Oklahoma to see it, I'm excited now. Good. I'm happy for you. That's awesome. All right, so let's get started here, Michelle. So the point of the live stream tonight is to rapid fire through some topics to get your brain turning, to get your gears rolling, and to prepare you for next week. Next week, we have our live stream. Katie, if you could bring our live stream QR code, our Coffee Connect QR code on screen. So Michelle, will you point to it for me? It's on your square. Yeah, there you go. Register where she's pointing to come to the Coffee Connect. What do we do with the Coffee Connect? We take these topics, we break them down a little bit more in depth. We're on for usually 90 minutes to 2 hours. Also, we give away about $500 worth of Starbucks coffee, and we also give you the opportunity to take home Stanley tumblers. But more importantly, you get to come on screen and talk to the group. And you can also elect to have a private call with a military MLS team member or with Michelle. So what we want to talk about tonight, though, is we need you to get your gears rolling and your brain churning in this direction to figure out if this is something that's going to work for you. So the first thing that I want to jump into is probably the most common thing we hear regarding the VA loan benefit and how you use it, and that's you can only use it one time. Can you talk to me about that, Michelle?
I would love to talk to you. And one day, someday, I'm not going to have this conversation. Everybody will know. But until then, that is absolutely false. So once you have earned the home loan benefit, you have access to the VA loan forever. Now, that means sometimes you might have all of your VA entitlement, which I know we'll talk about a lot more in use.
Yes.
But you can, if you have it in use or if you've got extra, you can sell a home, pay off a loan, have that entitlement put back, and you can do it over and over and over again. It is not a one and done.
Thank you for covering that. So who here thought that it was a one and done situation? You can throw your comments in the chat if you think that it was a one and done situation. So I think that I have a question for you on that topic. I've always been curious for like quite a long time of how many VA loans you think the average person could stack at once.
So I would say, based on today's general environment, you're probably talking about 2 to 3 that VA loans that you could have at one time as pretty standard, unless you were buying your forever home and really pushing the envelope with that. The most that I have ever seen is an individual that had 5 open active VA loans at one time. And they had started right when they had started when they their first PCS move. They bought a house, and this was 20 some odd years ago. They bought a house.
Yeah.
When they PCS to the next place, they kept it, rented it out, used the VA loan at the next location. And they did that over the span of 20 years. And by the time that I was chatting with them, with the 5 loans, one was their primary residence and the other 4 had been a primary residence at some point, but were their investment properties.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Has anyone here considered making that a strategy? I'm curious if you are one of the people who is interested in doing what I call the property collection method, which is exactly what Michelle just described. You can throw a thumbs up in the chat if that's something you want to look into. But I think even just taking that first baby step at your first duty station to make an investment can lead you there. I would say like that was originally our intent as well. We've made some different decisions as we progress from between duty stations, but it's so smart for those people who are. All right, next question. Do you have to have perfect credit to qualify for the VA loan?
So in actuality, VA does not have a credit score requirement. They have plenty to say about the health of somebody's credit. But from the credit score standpoint, those are going to be set by the lender that you're working with. And just to give you an idea, that could range from like 700. One company might only allow a 700. And then on the opposite end, you have new res that would accept or look at a loan up to with a credit score at 580 or higher. But really, it goes a lot deeper than just what a credit score is. But no, you do not have to have perfect credit
Mhm.
to utilize the VA home loan benefit. It is a component that goes into it, but it is not the end all be all.
Okay. Well, what about mortgage insurance?
Aha. So that little pesky thing called PMI, that private
Yeah.
mortgage insurance that most people don't
Yeah.
even know they're paying it, but they don't even really know what it is,
Right.
right? That
Right, right,
is
right.
insurance that you are paying that benefits the lender in
Uh-huh.
case you default.
Right.
And one of the major benefits with the VA loan is the fact that you don't have private mortgage insurance because the VA is actually guaranteeing that loan to the investor. So
Mhm.
they are guaranteeing, in case of default, a portion of that loan. Thus, you as the home buyer don't have to pay for it.
Hence the word benefit. When we talk
Mhm.
about the VA loan as a benefit, you are
Yep.
getting the benefit of the VA backing part of your mortgage so that you
Yes.
don't have to pay PMI. You're not forced into a conventional loan or FHA because you have the benefit of the VA loan and then there's no PMI on top of it. So we will talk more about how this product is actually a cheat code for you as we progress in this conversation tonight. But give me a heart in the chat if you're excited about not having to pay PMI with your VA loan. Also, we had 3 viewers tell us that they are doing the property collection method. So that's Tanya,
Yay.
G2DJ, G to DJ, hello, and then thank you, Francis, for the heart. We appreciate that. Yeah, so Tanya, G2DJ, and Min, you should definitely be in our Facebook group, Military to Military Property Club, so we can all strategize together and help out with whatever you're going through. Okay, getting back to my question list. Okay, down payments. With the VA loan, do you have to pay a down payment?
So that's another wonderful thing by having the VA back or guarantee that loan is in most situations, you do not have a down payment at all.
Love it.
So you can
Love it.
finance the entire purchase price. Yes, there are
Yeah.
situations.
Mhm.
It's not your first home. It's probably the second or the third
Right.
VA
Right.
loan that you'll have that we will talk about what down payments might look like. But in general, the big benefits, no PMI and no down payment.
Which is so important. Now, if you buy a property, well, let me back up. Let me back up. If you want to turn your home into an investment property and rent it out, what kind of homes should you be looking for? And is this doable on the VA loan?
So yes, it is absolutely doable. VA is going to require that when you buy the home, it is going to be your primary residence, owner occupied primary residence.
Correct.
But as life happens and you change duty stations, you retire, you end up with a family, you're downsizing as an empty nester, you can retain the property that has that VA loan on it and convert it into a rental. That is just fine. If it is something that you are considering doing, right, and you're considering doing it out of the gate, I'm going to buy a house with this duty station, I'm going to live in it, I'm going to move, I'm going to keep it and rent it, then be thinking about finding a home that is safe, that you can feel comfortable in while you're there, but it doesn't need to
Mhm.
be your forever home. And you don't need to max out your entitlement or anything like that, because the idea
Right.
being you want to buy a home that is affordable and easy to rent when you
Right.
move so that you can maximize your rental income.
Thank you. So, when we're talking about looking for properties in terms of entitlement, and you may need to take a second to like brief me one more time on the concept of that. But in terms of entitlement, what kind of home should I be looking for?
So the way that entitlement works, right? So,
Yeah.
and this is a very challenging concept because, again, the military cares about our health and our brain. So they make things challenging. So we have to really work it.
The health of our
So
brain is so important to the military.
exactly. Exactly. So entitlement, and when you earn the home loan benefit, the easiest way to describe it is when you earn that benefit, VA says and gives you, in essence, an entitlement bank. An
Uh-huh.
entitlement is, in essence, 25% of an underlying loan
Right.
that you are going to apply to that loan that's going to guarantee it to an investor. So it's a portion of the loan, 25% of the loan. And you have an entitlement bank. And your entitlement bank is either full because you don't have any entitlement in use, or it's partially full because you have entitlement in play on another property, or your entitlement bank is exhausted because you've used all of it. You've got it
Right.
all in play and you don't have any until you free up some of that entitlement, because it's not unlimited forever. So when you are thinking about buying a home and ultimately wanting to use that home as an investment down the line, you're going to want to have some serious conversations with your lender and with your real estate agent on what you want to do and what that's going to look like. Because once you've used entitlement on a loan, it's going to have some constraints on how much you can do in the future. And when you are thinking about that, you want to say, okay, I could buy this $400,000 house, or I could buy this $300,000 house.
Yeah.
The 400,000, great. If you're going to sell it when you leave, great. If you're thinking, though, I want to keep this as a rental, the $300,000 house is going to use less of your entitlement, allowing you to keep more for the next property
Mhm.
while you still have it in play.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's going to keep your monthly payment a little bit lower because it's a lower loan amount. Therefore, you can make more money when you go to rent that property than you might on a $400,000 house, as an example.
Absolutely. So basically, your bottom line here is when we're working with entitlement, when we're thinking about leveraging this benefit over the course of running it in parallel with our active duty career, we need to be thinking about what makes the most business sense for when you move out in 2 years, right?
Yep. Yep.
What's going to leave you the most remaining entitlement?
Well,
So you
and
can,
even if you are
yeah,
going to sell it, you'll get the entitlement back, but you want to think about
true.
not buying that unique home that's going to be hard to sell. You want to buy a home that's in an area that is going to make it attractive and easy to sell when it's time to go, if that is your plan.
Such a great point. I'm going to pause and take Julie's question. If you assume an existing VA loan, do I have to live in that home, even if the original purchaser has met that requirement? That's
So
a thoughtful question,
that
Julie.
is a great question. So, and the answer to that is VA does not care if the person that is assuming a VA loan, whether they're a veteran or not. In fact, if you're not, or if you are, but you're not going to substitute your entitlement for the seller's entitlement, you don't have to occupy. Now, the seller is going to very much care because the seller wants their entitlement freed up and put back into their entitlement bank. And that is only going to happen if the assumer not only assumes the mortgage, but substitutes their entitlement from their entitlement bank for the seller's entitlement so they get it back.
Mm,
So VA doesn't care, but the seller is going to care.
that's super interesting. Julie, did that answer your question, or do you need to talk about it further? Such a great question. All right, we've got another question. Well, I'm going to pause. We've got rapid fire things to get through, but we've got entitlement questions coming through, so it seems appropriate to just pause and answer these.
Okay.
When you assume well, I'm not sure if this is a question. You aren't using your benefits at all, so you can rent it as soon as you buy it. Buying assumable homes is one of the ways veterans and retirees can make money if they don't want to. Do you want to add anything there?
The only thing that I would add is it has to be right. The seller that you are assuming the home from has to be fine in keeping their entitlement attached to the house. And if you, as the assumer, are not using entitlement, you're just assuming the loan, you can rent it. You do not have to occupy it. All of that is absolutely true. Most sellers, now there are times that they're not going to care, but overall, that seller is going to want their entitlement back. And so that the
Yeah.
expectation is going to be you're selling to, or you're letting a veteran assume it, and that veteran has their home loan benefit with enough entitlement remaining to substitute their entitlement for yours.
Very interesting. Julie says she needs to talk. Julie, I put up our strategy call QR code as well. You can book a strategy call. We'll get you on the phone or on email with Michelle to explore it further. Tanya wants to know, does your this is a good question too. You guys are big thinkers. You're big braining tonight. Does your entitlement increase as your loan amount decreases?
That would be wonderful if it did, but
Yeah.
it does not. So when you close on a loan, that is the loan amount that is used to determine how much entitlement. 25% of your loan is going to come out of your entitlement bank, and it stays attached to that loan at that level until that loan is paid off, period.
Thank you.
So it does not go down.
All right. So when should you refinance?
That is a wonderful question, especially as we see rates taking a dip down. And it is a question that has various answers that depends on your situation, what you're trying to make happen, how long you're going to be in the house. So that is a strategy call. That is a conversation about what are your short-term and long-term goals. There are some individuals that said, if the rate doesn't drop by at least a point, I'm not refinancing. Well, 0.5% on a $600,000 house is significant. So I think that the question is, what are you trying to accomplish and why? And how long are you going to be in that home? So there's not a black and white answer. It's going to depend on what is important to you and what you're trying to accomplish. And that's when you reach out to set up a strategy call and have a conversation with a loan officer.
Amazing. All right. So who here has purchased a home and needs to consider refinance? And that's going to be someone who likely has an interest rate over 6%. Throw in the chat $ if you want to talk about refinancing, and you can get a personal conversation going with Michelle to discuss whether or not a refinance is in your future. Chiquita, I assumed my mom's mortgage commercial when she passed in 2019. According to valuation, it's worth $209,000. The balance of my loan is $66,000. Can I refinance the balance through a VA?
So I'm taking it by the fact that you said that this is commercial, that it's a commercial property. So VA, if that is true, VA does not do commercial properties. It is a residential properties only. If the existing loan is a VA loan on a residential property, then you could do what is called a VA streamline, even though maybe you aren't a veteran, but there is a VA loan on that property. Then a VA interest rate reduction loan could be something that could be considered, but you would not be able, unless you had your own entitlement, your own benefit, you would not be able to do like a cash out refinance.
And just in case, Chiquita, you meant conventional instead of commercial. Is that a possibility there? And do you want to speak to that, Michelle?
So if she assumed a conventional loan, which is unique because conventional loans aren't assumable technically, then no, unless the only way you could refinance into a VA loan from a different loan type is if you were a veteran or a service member with your own home loan benefit and entitlement.
Okay. Chiquita, if you need a little bit of help here and if you really want to talk about that with Michelle, we can get you in touch with her. Click this strategy call QR code over on Michelle's side over there. Or just Chiquita, I think we're texting, so you can also just text me and I will get you in touch with her. Okay. We'll get a connection in place. Let's keep going. So here's my next question.
Mhm.
Let me think about how to word this a little bit better. I've been told that you cannot borrow more than your entitlement. And that there are, hardline loan limits with the VA loan. Like, for example, you look up your zip code area, it's like the most you can lend in your area is, I don't know, 700,000. Is that true?
So no. So first of all, understanding that the VA does not tell you how much you can borrow. All VA is ever going to do is indicate how much they are willing to guarantee to the investor. And what I mean by that is you could choose if you have full entitlement, so you don't have any entitlement in play, there is no maximum loan limit that VA will not guarantee. Let me say that again. If you have full entitlement, so you don't have any entitlement in play, you could go find a $9 million house. If you qualified for the payment on $9 million house, you could go find a $9 million house and VA will guarantee that amount, the full amount. You do not have to make a down payment. But if you have entitlement in use, VA does at that point start putting limits on what they're willing to guarantee. And it is based on where you're purchasing and the conventional loan limits for that specific location. And then you have to do some math, which is why you reach out for a strategy session. But at that point, all VA is saying is we will guarantee, let's just say we will guarantee up to $500,000 with what you have in use. We will guarantee a $500,000 house with no down payment. But you're looking at a $600,000 house. VA says that's fine. If you qualify for 600,000, that's fine. VA is only going to guarantee the first 500. So then you're going to have a down payment on that gap. So that difference between what VA is going to cover, in essence, we're saying
Right.
500,000, easy math, because, I'm doing it on the fly. 500,000, you're buying a $600,000 house. VA is going to guarantee the first 500. You've got a $100,000 gap. You're going to have to do what VA does and make a down payment of 25% of what that gap is. And again, your loan officers will know how to do this. They'll be able to quickly show you based on what you've got in use, what you've got remaining, and what that would look like.
Okay. So there are really no max loan limits with the VA, but your income kind of drives or determines what your loan limit
what you can borrow. Yep.
Okay.
And then you have to make a determination on the down payment. What's
the biggest VA loan you've been a part of?
That I personally have been a part of was about 1.2 million a number of years ago. The one that I was talking about was 2 years ago in the Pacific Northwest, and it was $9 million. And I'm sure it's much higher now.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so for everybody who's here, everybody who's on the live stream with us tonight, we know that you're here because you want to use your VA loan benefit. We know that you're here because you might be in VA Loan Bootcamp with us already, and you may be planning to come to our VA Loan Bootcamp next week. We are, hard launching our next VA Loan Bootcamp cohort. So with that being said, thanks. Hey, they just switched out our QR code in the top corner. So if you want to make sure that you come to VA Loan Bootcamp, you can do that. There's the QR code. But my point is, we're all planning. Whether our move is in a year or 2 years or 6 months or 3 months, we are all planning. My next move is in about 11 months. So what am I doing? I'm prepping. And as soon as I find out what my market is going to be, I'm going to start searching. With that being said, Michelle, when is the appropriate time to start planning for the next investment, in your opinion?
It is not when you go under contract. It is well before that. And I will tell you, you cannot start too early, but you can start too late.
Yes.
Right? So when you think about this, I would say that sweet spot is truly 6 months to a year. If you start really thinking about what you want to do, you have time to educate yourself, learn about all of the different options, what they might
Mhm.
look like, and even if you've got something that could be rectified that might give you more buying power or that might help with interest rate because you've got maybe a little blemish and there's something that we can do with time and or with activity, you can put yourself in 6 months to a year in a much better
Mhm.
place
Mhm.
when you have planned appropriately. What you
Yes.
don't want to do is you want to know that purchasing power before you go and find the house that you love, and then you find out that it's not doable. And then you're never happy. Then you have to settle, and settling is never fun. So if you know what that purchasing power is up front, 6 months to a year, 2 years, if you want to really just start with education components, you can't start too early.
I think that's kind of the motto of what we want to convey to everyone. What I wish I knew sooner is that you cannot start too early, but you can start too late. And to drive that point home, if you're about to transition out of the service, I think that's one of the critical points where you've got to inform yourself on what your rights and your situation is with the VA loan benefit while you're active duty versus while you are a veteran. So, Michelle, can you talk to us a little bit about that specific topic so our people who are close
Yes.
to transitioning understand?
Yeah, because this is a hard lesson to learn because you just didn't know. And
Mhm.
when you are in that transition, that's what it is, right? You're transitioning. It's a flux. And when your qualification parameters are reviewed, your income to be able to use in conjunction with qualifying for a loan, your income has to be considered stable, reliable, and likely to continue. And what VA says, it's not a lender, this is VA says, if you are within 12 months of exiting the military from the close date of your purchase, or refinance, whatever transaction it is that you're doing. If you are exiting the military within 12 months, your active duty income is not stable, reliable, and likely to continue anymore. VA knows it's going to end and it cannot be used for qualifying. So then we're talking about, are you retiring? We can talk about utilizing your retirement income. If you are offered a job and you accept it, and based on some of the terms of that future income, that might be able to be used. But you're in that situation, that flux, and it is a transition. And if VA, the lenders, everybody wants that dust to settle a little bit to make sure that you're going to be in a position that you can make whatever payment it is that you're qualifying for. So
Yeah.
just keep
Yeah.
that in mind. 12 months from close date is a huge time frame to be aware of.
And D1, that is not to say that a veteran cannot use a VA loan.
Correct.
Veterans absolutely can
Yes.
use their VA loan, and you should. You should definitely use it. What we're saying is the amount of money you can borrow is different when you're active duty versus when sometimes you end up in limbo. You end up in this limbo space, sometimes for 6 months, sometimes for 18 months, where
Mm-hmm.
you move from having regular, stable, active duty income to your civilian income. And while you're in that gap, it's not fun to be a renter. It's not fun to not have a home that you can stay in and move and be building equity in. You don't want to be in that gap and not building equity if you can help it.
Right.
That's what we're talking about, D1. So yes, a veteran can use the VA loan. And let me get the strategy call QR code back up because I really want to lean into this as we talk about your personal eligibility and entitlement and your personal situation. Listen, everybody's situation is different.
Yep.
Everyone's. So that's why at the military MLS, our concierge team is offering strategy calls. So right above Michelle's head there, you can book one and we'll give you 15 to 30 minutes to just assess where you are and help you build a plan for your next step. Okay, it's so easy. Absolutely no obligation to you or no pressure. It's just sitting and hanging out with someone else who's military connected and talking about these complex plans and situations and goals and moves. And if you join our strategy call and you come and have a conversation with us, potentially talk to Michelle, we actually mail you a Stanley tumbler. So I'm no kidding. We send out these really awesome Stanley tumblers to all of our military MLS members who come to our strategy calls. I think we sent out probably 15 in the past week. So they are going out. Awesome. So let me make sure that I hit all of I don't know if I hit all of our myths. I didn't bust all of them. Let me keep going here. So, let me ask you this one, Michelle. I have like 3 more things that I want to get out and make sure that these are my last 3 what I wish I knew sooner things. Um, Talk to me about why it's important that you work with a military connected realtor and lender.
You want to make sure that the person that is your advocate, that is helping you, one, make a decision on financing terms, one of the biggest purchases you're going to make, and the real estate agent that is helping you find that home, they're going to be your advocate, that you're working with people that understand, one, the unique challenges of the military and the veteran demographic, but also that they understand the unique components of the VA loan, because there are so many myths. And if you aren't talking to someone that truly knows, and I'm talking, if you can go talk to a lender, and a lender who is not a VA loan expert will tell you can only have one VA loan at a time, or that maybe they even tell you that you can only have one VA loan ever, and which is absolutely not true. So it is important to make sure that whether it's your real estate agent or whether it's your lender, that you're taking time to interview them. Find out a little bit about who they are, what they know. Ask them how many transactions that they have been a part that have had a VA loan attached to it that they've done in the last 6 months, in the last year. If they say one or none, do they really know the VA loan, right?
Yes.
Ask
Yeah.
them what strategies they use to encourage sellers and listing agents to accept a VA offer, because a lot of those listing agents will whisper in their seller's ear upon time not to accept a VA loan because they truly don't understand it themselves and they have misconceptions. So you
Mhm.
want to make sure that the person that you're talking to is going to be your advocate and has strategies as well to help sellers accept VA loan offers.
Mhm. I really appreciate all of your feedback on that because while I have never personally experienced my VA loan offers that I've made being turned down for conventional offers, we do have community members at the military MLS who have had offers turned down because they are VA and have been advised to go back and re-offer under conventional or different loan types. Now, I'm not saying that in every single scenario, the VA loan is going to be the premium best choice for you in your scenario. That's why we have the strategy calls to look at,
Mhm.
is there potentially a different opportunity for you? We just love talking about the VA loan because too many of our service members and our military spouses, you don't know the power of it. You don't understand the power of how activating this one little benefit every single time you PCS can have you retiring with $1 million in equity in properties that you can sell. Okay, so anyway, you just don't understand until you start operating in it. Anyway, my point is Michelle's talking about making sure that you are working with a lender who is like a true VA loan advocate so
Yep.
that they know how to get you to the closing table using the benefit. I'm going to talk to you briefly about working with military connected realtors and agents in your area because likewise, if they are not also VA loan experts, if they don't know the military base location like the back of their hand, if they don't understand how people are moving in and out of the area and using that VA loan benefit to accomplish it, you might end up in an area that's not actually conducive to renting out your property, or you might end up in a loan type that's not actually in your best interest and costs you money. So that's one of the things that we can do in your strategy call as well. If you're worried about that, you want to be equipped with a list of interview questions that you can ask realtors and you can ask lenders. Book the strategy call. We will empower you with the right tools, questions, and things to look out for. Even kind of a secret weapon question that Michelle taught me a few months ago to just make sure that the person isn't just saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a VA loan expert," because it's easy to just say that. There are some hidden questions you can ask to make sure that they actually are. So you can book a strategy call to find out what that is. Awesome. Okay. So the last question, I think that is it. I think that's the last myth that I wanted to bust with you. Um, no, yeah, that was it. Understanding that you're hiring, you're really hiring your agent, you're really hiring your lender, and it's super important for you to connect with someone who is military connected. I have done both. I have worked with military connected agents. I have worked with non. And also, I do want to say this, like, just because a bank has a word like Army or Navy or something in their title, or the word veteran in their title, does not make them the actual best choice for you. I'm going to say that because I have personally learned the hard way. I've bought multiple properties, like several for myself, and I assist a lot of people in doing this. So I've learned the hard way. Do not fall for whoever pops up when you Google it. And don't just call the person that you have your checking account with, because while their bread and butter is checking accounts, it is not mortgages. And you will end up, like me, homeless for multiple weeks on end, bumming it in the Navy Lodge and bouncing from friends' houses because we could not close on our house. So if you have been there, give me a thumbs up in the chat, because we have all been there and we don't want to be there again.
No.
All right. Michelle, do you have anything else to add before I give our call for the Coffee Connect one more time?
No, we hit everything that we wanted to talk about tonight. We will save anything else that we have for next week.
Yes. Next week's going to be a blast. We're giving away Starbucks. We're giving away tumblers. The VA Loan Bootcamp QR code is on screen right now. You can scan it and join us next week. It's going to be the 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to meet on Zoom. We are going to be there for about 1 to 2 hours. You do have to be a live attendee to grab the Starbucks or grab the Stanley tumblers, but we're super excited. And anyone who booked a strategy call this evening with us using the QR code on screen or just by clicking the link, you guys will all get Stanleys. All right, I'm excited to see all of you there. Thank you, Michelle, for your time. And thank you for joining me for What I Wish I Knew Sooner. I'm also going to invite everybody just verbally here. I don't have a link for you, but I want you to know that we have a Facebook group for this topic. And in that Facebook group, you can join our thread on the property stacking method, the property collection method. That Facebook group is called Military to Military Property Club. Okay. I'll see you all there. Have a great evening. And thank you for joining our live stream. And thank you so much.